In the vast ocean of human longing, there is a common pattern. People chase what they lack, beg for what they think they need, and become needy for what they fear losing. But what if all of this struggle was an illusion? What if the act of chasing was the very thing pushing what you desire further away? A Zen proverb states, the tighter you grasp, the more sand slips through your fingers. It reveals a fundamental truth. Grasping creates suffering. What you desire cannot be forced, and what you force often eludes you. True power does not lie in pursuit, it lies in presence. The moment you stop begging for attention, stop chasing people, and stop acting out of desperation, the entire dynamic shifts. But how? If you do not chase, if you do not beg, if you do not plead, what remains? One thing, mastery of self. When you master yourself, everything around you moves in harmony. Instead of chasing, you attract. Instead of begging, you command respect. Instead of neediness, you embody completeness. This is the paradox. By letting go, you gain. Let us step into a story that reveals the secret to reversing the tide without force, struggle, or desperation. The man who chased the wind. There was once a man who spent his life running after things, relationships, friendships, opportunities, and status. Every time he set his heart on something, he pursued it with all his might. Yet the harder he tried, the more things seemed to slip away. When he liked someone, he showed overwhelming devotion, only to be met with distance. When he wanted success, he exhausted himself in effort, only to find doors closing before him. It seemed as if life was playing a cruel trick. Whenever he wanted something badly, it refused him. Frustrated, he sought the wisdom of an old teacher who lived in solitude. He traveled a great distance and finally found the teachers sitting in silence by a flowing stream. I have come for guidance, the man said. The teacher simply smiled and pointed at the stream. Tell me, what do you see? Water flowing endlessly, the man replied. And if you try to grasp it with your hands, it slips away, he admitted. The teacher nodded. The more you try to possess it, the less you have. But if you simply let it flow, you can enjoy its presence. The man frowned. Are you saying I should not pursue what I want? The teacher chuckled. I am saying chasing is different from attracting. The wind cannot be caught, but it will come to you if you stand still. The question is not how to chase, but how to become someone to whom things naturally come. The power of non-attachment. The man reflected on the teacher's words and decided to stop chasing. He let go of his exhausting pursuit of people, success, and validation. Instead, he focused on himself. He practiced mindfulness, deepened his understanding of life, and found fulfillment in his own company. He cultivated his mind, his health, and his peace. He became so centered that he no longer needed external validation. And then something strange happened. The people who once ignored him began to notice him. The opportunities that once evaded him seemed to appear effortlessly. He was no longer chasing, but things were now drawn to him. Why? Because when you do not need, you become valuable. People sense desperation and run from it. But when you radiate completeness, they are drawn to you. The art of self-mastery. One day, the teacher asked the man to stand by a still lake, throw a stone into the water. The teacher instructed, the man did, and ripples spread across the surface. What do you see? The teacher asked, ripples expanding outward. The man replied. The teacher smiled. When you chase, you disturb the water. When you are still, the lake reflects perfectly. The world works the same way. Become still, and it will reflect back what you are. The man realized that his previous failures were not due to a lack of effort, but due to misplaced energy. He was acting from fear, insecurity, and attachment. But now, by mastering himself, he became a magnet. He no longer begged for love, it came effortlessly. He no longer chased success, it unfolded naturally. He no longer sought validation, he became a source of confidence. One day, a person who once ignored him returned. This person had once taken his kindness for granted, overlooked his efforts, and walked away as if he were insignificant. Now, they stood before him, eager to reconnect. The man smiled, but he felt no need to chase or cling. So he had learned that true power is not in forcing people to stay, but in giving them the freedom to leave. And in that moment, he understood the lesson completely. The teacher had once said, the highest form of power is not in controlling others, but in controlling yourself. The moment you stop seeking, stop forcing, and stop chasing, you become the kind of person who does not need to ask for anything, because everything comes naturally. The true power of letting go, the essence of Zen. And Buddhosophy teaches us that suffering is born from attachment. The man in the story represents every one of us who has at some point felt the sting of rejection, the pain of unreciprocated love, or the frustration of unattained desires. His transformation was not through force, but through wisdom. So let us reflect deeply on the key lessons. 1. The illusion of control, why chasing pushes things away. Have you ever noticed that the more you want something, the more it seems to slip away? This is not a coincidence, it is the nature of reality. When you chase someone, they feel the pressure of your neediness, and instinctively they pull away. When you desperately seek success, you act from fear, making poor choices. When you beg for attention, you lower your value. Buddhism calls this tanha, or craving, an insatiable thirst that leads to suffering. The irony is that the harder you try to possess something, the more it evades you. The act of chasing sends a signal of lack. The energy of aversion creates resistance. True fulfillment comes when you remove the need to grasp. What happens when you stop trying to control everything? You create space, and in that space, things flow naturally. 2. The power of non-attachment, the magnetic effect of presence. Once the man in the story stopped chasing, people started noticing him. Why? Because he was no longer radiating desperation, he was radiating confidence and self-sufficiency. This is the power of non-attachment, upekkha in Buddhism. When you do not depend on external validation, you become incredibly attractive. People and opportunities are drawn to those who are whole within themselves. A tree does not chase birds, it simply stands firm. And the birds come. The sun does not beg for recognition. Its warmth naturally draws people toward it. A person who is fulfilled does not need to chase relationships. They naturally attract meaningful connections. So what does this mean in daily life? Instead of chasing love, become love. Instead of begging for attention, cultivate self-respect. Instead of clinging to people, let them flow in and out like the tide. Only those meant to stay will remain when you embody this mindset. Everything changes. 3. The paradox of letting go. When you need nothing, everything comes. There is a profound paradox in life when you stop desperately wanting something. It often appears effortlessly. The person who stops seeking approval gains respect. The entrepreneur who focuses on value instead of money attracts wealth. The person who lets go of toxic relationships finds true love. Why does this happen? Because freedom creates attraction. Think of water. When you hold it loosely, it stays in your hands. But when you squeeze too tightly, it escapes through your fingers. The same applies to people, opportunity, and success. Ask yourself, am I grasping too hard? Recognize where you are forcing things instead of allowing them to flow. Observe how letting go shifts the energy and creates space for better things to come. When you no longer need, you gain. This is the secret of life. 4. Mastering yourself. The one thing that changes everything. At the heart of this teaching is one truth: master yourself. And the world will follow. Instead of focusing outward, turn inward. Instead of controlling others, control yourself. Instead of chasing, become so complete that others chase you. In Buddhism, this is called satori. Awakening is the moment you realize that you are never missing anything. Everything you seek is already within you. What would happen if you stopped seeking validation from others that weekend? How would your life change if you focused on your inner peace rather than external outcomes? What kind of person would you become if you embrace completeness instead of neediness? Live as if you have already won. Imagine for a moment that you already have everything you desire. How would you walk? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself? You would move with confidence, ease, and peace. This is the secret. Act as if you already have it, and the world will align with your energy. Do not beg, do not chase, do not be needy. Simply be. Master yourself, and you will watch in amazement as life reverses before your eyes. Thanks for watching.